Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council, Monday, May 1st. And I please ask everyone to rise for a moment of silent prayer. And this evening, asking us to remember two River Edge residents, Don Herrick, lifelong River Edge resident, Cub Scout leader, former member of the River Edge Board of Education, and Lee White, the husband of Peggy White, former environmental commissioner, and our dedicated regular Mayor and Council meeting attendee. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers this evening. Councilman, can you go please lead us in salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, by email to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. I would like to remind all members of the public that we have 3 fire exits in our council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Present.
Here. Councilman Tomato.
Present.
Councilwoman Davis.
Present.
Councilman Castellano is out with prior notice, and Mayor Leon.
Here. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council regular meeting of April 3rd, 2017, and the work session of April 17, 2017?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have 2 proclamations on this evening. The first thing is Joe Magiri. Would you like to come up, please, and accept the proclamation for the annual poppy sale? Stand by the camera so we can. There you go. It's going to be on the camera. Proclamation reads, whereas the annual poppy sale by the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars has been officially recognized and endorsed by government leaders, and whereas the poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. Now therefore, I, as the Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, do hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support through the purchase of poppies from May 1st through May 31st, 2017, the designated annual poppy sale days in the Borough of River Edge, and to further urge all citizens to support the American Legion Auxiliary of the Sergeant Walter Scott Brown Unit Number 226, the Veteran of Foreign Wars Auxiliary of the Caldorney Claver Frost Post Number 876 of River Edge by buying and wearing a poppy. And as usual, we have Commander Joe Magiri here tonight to accept this proclamation on our behalf. So, Joe, thank you. And we'll be looking for those poppies. There we go. Yes, you can have the original and post the original wherever you want to. And just so Joe will also be organizing our Memorial Day celebrations as he normally does. And this evening I asked the council, last year we canceled the parade due to inclement weather, and we didn't have anywhere to hold the ceremony. So this year I did ask the board if we can enter into agreement to use Roosevelt School. So in case we do have rain this year, we can at least have a ceremony indoors to recognize the significance of the day. So we look forward to seeing you, Joe. You're welcome, Joe. Thank you. Thanks. Mrs. Rita, would you please come up? And we're here tonight from our Stigma-Free Committee and as representative of the Tadawida Foundation to accept our proclamation on behalf of Mental Health Month. The proclamation reads, whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas promotion and prevention are effective ways to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there is a strong body of research that support user-friendly tools that all Americans have access to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives, and whereas each business, school, government agency, faith-based organization, healthcare provider, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental wellness, and support prevention efforts. Therefore, I, as the mayor of the Borough River Edge, do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Mental Health Month in the Borough River Edge. And as the mayor of River Edge, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses and schools in River Edge to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. I'm very proud to have you here tonight to accept this. Thank you. And I guess as a follow-up to that, at the suggestion of Councilman Bastide, tonight the council will be asked to approve a resolution entering into a shared service with the County of Bergen for an employee assistance program. And this is just one aspect that we will now be giving to all our full-time employees to give them access to these services through the county as an added benefit. So I believe the council will act positively on that tonight. So thank you, Councilwoman, for bringing that to us, and it marries nicely into what we're doing tonight. So thank you. Okay, we have our first opportunity for public comment on any issue on the agenda. Have the motion open to the public, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're open to the public for any item on the agenda. Would anybody like to speak? Yes, Mrs. Emmons.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, I have the pleasure of being back before you again to discuss the table of organization proposed for the police department. When the local thought it could not get any worse, the proposed ordinance has just made it get worse. I have stated before that the police department needs continuity of supervision, and the next in charge needs authority to make decisions. While Lieutenant Walker may be the de facto second in charge by being the senior lieutenant, each division commander is capable of running their respective divisions, and in no paramilitary organization do each of the same rank tell each other what to do. By filling the captain position, you are filling a post where when the chief is unavailable, the captain can be the next in command, direct both lieutenants, create coordination between the investigation and patrol divisions, and make efforts to build the esprit de corps of this department. Many of you have suggested the chief is the chief executive of the police department. Let's call him the CEO. I would like to relate the captain's position to that of the COO, or the chief operating officer. Most of you know the roles and responsibilities of the chief operating officer, so I won't bore you with the details. But I understand that the chief has said that the captain's position is bottlenecking his span of control. I'll leave you with this. I don't know of any organization or CEO that would consider a chief operating officer a bottleneck, a liability, or unnecessary in their organization. Chief Curdy has already made mention that the sergeant would take on responsibilities that the lieutenants have been bogged down with. The lieutenants currently are taking on responsibilities that the captain was once responsible for. Unfortunately, this is members working out of title and rank. That causes liability for the department and causes many concerns, compensation being one of them, in the local. The sergeant cannot and would not be allowed to perform the tasks and duties of that captain or of a lieutenant. The captain position can, however, take on responsibilities of a lieutenant and of a sergeant. They could also be tasked with policy making as administration. The last table that was proposed by the mayor and council was pitched at the council meeting as a compromise between the chief and the local. Compromise is when both sides leave the table, not exactly with what they wanted, but something they can ultimately agree to. So when we were told that this is what's happening and that we're adding a sergeant and lieutenant to the table while removing the captain, but there's no intention to fill the lieutenant spot, I don't know how that can be called a compromise. The mayor and council represent the residents of this town. I have the unique position of being the union president and also a resident of this town. I have not heard one resident speak out against what the union has been proposing. Actually, I've only heard positive feedback from residents who have come to the meetings, who have written letters in, and yes, I have to say, have even posted on Facebook. We have heard there is no money in this year's budget to accomplish the union's proposal. I offered an idea to Councilman Bartoloni as our liaison that I would like to offer to all of you tonight. It's not my idea, it was another member's idea, so I can't take full credit for it. You clearly have budgeted for the additional sergeant spot in this year's budget. Instead of filling that spot, utilize the money to test for all 3 ranks, since we now have a more accurate number of what the written test costs. $2,000 for each test per rank, as opposed to $2,000 for each candidate, or modify the promotional ordinance where there is no out-of-pocket cost to the borough. I also find it worth repeating based on the way they voted the last time. While the chief has 30-plus years of experience in law enforcement, and you rely on his recommendations on how to organize the department, I am here representing over 100 years of experience of members with rank and others who think this is the wrong path to go down. If that does not speak volumes to this governing body, the only thing I can surmise is the concerns of the rank and file are not being heard. I can only offer that if this ordinance moves forward, that there would be serious further examination of the job descriptions and how it interfaces with our contract by removing a rank from the structure. I hope that we can have a true good faith discussion about what a compromise could be that would satisfy the chief's proposed needs and the locals' concerns, because we have yet to have a seat at the table. We have just been told what is going to happen. Thank you for your time and open minds.
Anybody else like to speak on any topic on our agenda? There'll be another opportunity to address the council later in the meeting. See, no one got a motion to close to the public, please? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have several appointment and personnel changes this evening. Can I please have a motion to approve the salary change of Edward Blue, patrol officer, from an annual salary of $55,074 to $63,335 due to an increase to patrol officer 16th grade, effective May 5th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I please have a motion to approve the satisfactory completion of the 6-month probationary period for Carol Byrne as Planning, Zoning, Recording Secretary, effective May 7th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I please have a motion to approve the hire of Kyle Joaquin as a full-time laborer in the Department of Public Works at an annual salary of $30,332 with a 6-month probationary period effective May 2nd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry? It's 6 months. Oh. Let me correct. Can I please have a motion to approve the hire of Kyle Joaquin, full-time laborer, at an annual salary of $30,332 with a 1-year probationary period, effective May 2nd, 2017.
So moved.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have various correspondence listed in the agenda, which would be available through the clerk's office if anyone is interested in reading anything specifically. We also have on file monthly reports from the Library Board for April, Fire Prevention Bureau for the first quarter of 2017, Zoning Board for May 11th, 2016, and February 8th, 2017, Tax Collector Report for March, Historic Commission Report for March, Shade Tree Commission for March, Environmental Commission for April 2017. We have one ordinance on for first reading this evening. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 1716 by title, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Sorry, I need to.
We have to switch around.
The record, Madam Clerk, please note that nothing been
Just note for the record that I'm here. Okay, 12 p.m. Have you noted Councilman Bartolome presence? Okay. Madam Clerk, please, if you would mind to read ordinance for first reading, ordinance number 1716.
Ordinance 1716, ordinance amending an ordinance entitled Police Department of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey.
Okay, the description is, it's an amended police department table of organization that includes 1 police chief, no captains, 2 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, and despite my adversity to number 17, 17 police officers. So, I seek a motion for a second. I'll move the ordinance.
Making the motion.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Navarino?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve? Yes. Councilman Benito?
No.
Councilwoman Davis is recused. Councilman Papaleo is absent.
Okay, good. I will go back to my little chair. Where's the mayor?
Would you mind getting the mayor to come down the book? Thank you.
Mayor?
You instituted a coup officer.
Hey, I come from a nation that invented the coup. So,
Thank you. We have several ordinances on for second reading, public hearing tonight. The first ordinance 17-11, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
Ordinance 1711, an ordinance appropriating $56,300 from the general capital fund and from the improvement fund to purchase of equipment as amended.
And this is a typical bond ordinance for $56,300. We're taking money from our capital improvement fund to purchase equipment for public works, the fire department, the borough clerk office, health office, construction office, and the police. Can I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 1711?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Would any member of the public like to ask any question or make a comment regarding ordinance 17-11? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I please have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 1711 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Benito?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve? Yes. Councilman Benito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes.
Second public hearing, ordinance 17-12. Madam Clerk, please read by title.
1712, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal systems equipment, and new automotive vehicles, including original avalanche and equipment in finance of the borough of Riverhead, in the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,243,000 to pay the costs thereof to make the down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations and to provide for the issuance of bonds in anticipation of additional such bonds.
This represents the capital expenditures in our recently approved 2017 budget. This is for various public improvements that go towards our potential community center, replacement of equipment and machinery at the fire department, new vehicles for DPW, new IT equipment, signal equipment for the police, stormwater, drainage, and sanitary sewer improvements at various locations, accounting computer system for the finance department, and it also includes an allocation for our 2017 road resurfacing program. Can I please have a motion to open the hearing to the public on ordinance 1712?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're open to the public regarding questions, comments on public, on ordinance 17-12. Seeing no comments, can I have a motion to close, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I please have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-12?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Navarino?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve? Yes. Councilman Benito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes.
Ordinance 1713, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
Ordinance 1713, an ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, amending chapter 330 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of River Edge, and adding a new chapter to be entitled Abandoned Properties, providing for registration requirements, registration fees, inspection, maintenance, and creditor responsibilities of abandoned properties.
And this is an ordinance that we crafted. It's going to help the borough be able to do more effectively with typically abandoned properties which have been foreclosed, and it gives the borough a lot more rights and a lot more leeway to make sure these properties are maintained in a safe manner. Can I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 1713?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open to the public on ordinance 1713. If anybody has any comments, questions? Seeing none, a motion to close to the public, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 1713.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilman Barnwell?
Yes.
Councilman Steve? Yes. Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 1714, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
1714, an ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey, and then Chapter 222 gains its chance to add Section 222-4 entitled Issuing Authority.
And this ordinance gives the borough clerk issuing authority for raffle licenses on behalf of the borough. May I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 1714?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Figure that one out, Steph.
We're open to the public again for questions, comments on ordinance 1714. Seeing no one, can I please have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I please have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 17-14?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilman Barnwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
And lastly, we have ordinance 17-15. Madam Clerk, please read that ordinance by title.
Ordinance 1715, an ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 49 of the Borough Code entitled Land Use Procedures to dissolve the zoning board of adjustment and transferring its functions into the planning board to create a land use board pursuant to NJSA 40:5B-25C1 and as amended.
And this is an ordinance we've been discussing the last couple of months. Effectively, we take the powers to zone, to grant variances from the zoning board, and we give that authority to the planning board. It's consistent with the transfer of statutory authority pursuant to the land use law. Can I please have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 1715?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're open now to the public on ordinance 1715 for any questions or comments. Seeing none, can I please have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And a motion for the final adoption of ordinance 1715.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Azzarello?
Yes.
Councilman Barnwell?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Thank you. We have resolutions by consent. Resolutions number 17-156 through 17-179. Any member of council like to have for separate consideration or discussion any of these resolutions? If not, can I please have a motion to adopt them by consent, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Will our finance chair, Councilman Bartoloni, please read and move resolution 17-180, payment of bills?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $5,411,185.63. Capital account, $32,166.73. Recreation account, $3,548.33. Trust other account, $24,686.18. Open space account, $6,794.50. Trust other developers account, $775.16. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, now we're opening to the public. Have a motion for open to the public, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open to any comment, question on any item. Yes? Mrs. Myers? Yes. Your name and address for the record, please, and speak to the microphone so we can record you.
Good evening, my name is Donna Meyer. I live at 100 Bogart Road, in Woodridge, New Jersey, 07661. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As I said, my name is Donna Myers, and I've lived in town since 1995. Just for the past 3 years at my recent address on Bogart Road. Mayor Mignon, and I believe Mr. Barone, you're familiar with the reason I'm here tonight. On January 7th, I had arrived home at approximately 5:10 p.m. I had actually written a lengthy letter to the mayor describing a towing incident that had occurred.
Mrs. Myers, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you want me to just give the council the overview, so...
Yeah,
so-
I'm not going to speak.
So,
It's
no,
in
no,
a
let
nutshell.
me explain.
Oh,
We've heard the incident. Ms. Myers had a very, what I'll say, a very unfortunate encounter with one of the towing companies. The chief had reported to us previously, summarizing all of the tow charge we accrued for that one specific storm. The chief is here, he can give us more information, but from my recollection, the tow company, which unfortunately you had to deal with, did charge disproportionately more compared to other tow companies. There were some questions whether there were misinterpretations or misunderstandings or issues that may not have been clarified in the ordinance regarding certain sub-items that were billed to you. But I think, what I think struck me, Councilman Bartolone, and probably the council in general, was that the way you were just treated personally. If you recall that they made Mrs. Myers walk to an ATM insisting that they take cash, which wasn't supposed to be allowed. They just did not make a very difficult situation any easier on her.
Well, thank you.
So,
But thank you, and just, if I could just add to that, my car had been parked at the curb, and it was a freshly plowed street. I had been out the entire day in my car. I pulled up in front of my apartment, and it was parked for 27 minutes. From 5:10 until 5:37, I have my text messages here, so I was meeting my friends for dinner in Emerson that evening. And I remember, when I went to the curb, I thought, oh my goodness, my car's been stolen, because, and when I told the police department immediately, they said it was towed, and I was totally shocked. That was the last thing I thought could have happened. But as the evening went on, I came to terms with the fact that the car was towed, and I was going to have to, live with the fate of maybe $250. As it turned out, I was charged $504 to get my car back. And I remember when I spoke to this tow, as I said, as I detailed in my letter, he was polite, but that's besides the point. But I remember him saying that, I said to him, I didn't have cash, and he said to me, well, then you're not going to be able to get your car back. Now, I had to, I had to take off from work. Thank goodness a friend of mine was in Hackensack, and she was able to drive me there. She was kind enough to come back when I could only get $200 out of the local ATM at the diner. I never used those ATMs. And she went to her bank and took out the remainder of the money. My only regret is that I did not plead not guilty when I went to court, because I went to court on January 24th here, and I wanted to plead not guilty, because, like I said, I didn't think that my car should have been towed. I felt, after being a resident here since 1995, I could have had the courtesy of someone leaving a ticket on my windshield. I am a single parent now, and it's, I'm still making ends meet, and I don't want to do sob stories. But to be charged that amount of money, and as Mayor Mignon said, there were several violations of the code. He was supposed to pay cash. I did ask him for a detailed receipt of what transpired. He said he didn't have anything, and that's also in the code, that he should have been able to provide me with details of the the incident. He had nothing. He said, speak to the town. I even called him the next day and asked him for that. He said he had nothing for me to call the town. There was at least one other violation. I have it here in my notes, but I won't, belabor. I know there are a lot of people here. But Mayor Mignone has been very kind in his letters to me. I did, and when I seen it officer in that respect, at court, when I was going to plead not guilty, I decided to go to speak with the prosecutor, and Officer Naprasek had said to me, Chief Caridi was going to review everything, and possibly, the implication was that he was going to come up with some sort of a refund of taking into consideration all of the fees. But by the time my next court date came around, I thought that I would have heard back, and I called Officer Naprasek. He said Chief Caridi still hadn't put his report together. So I did write to Chief Caridi last month, and he indicated that he did come up with a report and that it was in the mayor and council's hands. So I wrote to Mayor Mignone. He was kind enough to write me back just the other day, but he said that he was going to discuss it again with the chief and the attorney. So I'm here to
Because, well, the way we had left it, and the chief or Mr. Sarlo can correct me if I'm wrong, they were going to go back to the tow operator to see if there was a way to reasonably dispute part of those charges. They have a contract to tow, and there's certain fees which they're entitled to. Some of the other fees, like the holding fee and like the surcharge and some of the other stuff which we thought were questionable, we asked whether that was. We did ask for a full refund, but we don't have the power here to do that. That would be incumbent upon the tow operator himself. And as the chief or Mr. Sarlo, if anything, can follow up in that regard.
I'm here because I wanted to request a refund of the towing fee in its entirety. It's been almost 4 months. I don't think I should have been told. It's up to you whether you are going to give me any refund or not. I wanted to also find out when a decision would be made once and for all, because it has been about 4 months now. And I also wanted to find out whether I can see Officer Caridi's report. I'm just curious as to what his findings were. And my last question was, what is the future relationship going to be with River Edge and Hackensack Auto Body? Because I think that it should be severed based on my experience. And I do know that there were 2 other people who were charged, certainly the couple who was in front of me when I was picking up my car. I felt sorry for them. They were also charged with $500.
We can ask the chief to review some of that, but just with regard to the ordinance in general, they explain, the ordinance has been in place for a number of years, and, I'm not going to take the simple answer is that, well, the signs are posted. They are. Okay, we understand that. But if you had noticed that we did make a more concerted effort after that storm to let the residents know if you live on these snow streets that you needed to clear them if there was going to be snow on the ground. The chief could add more, but we made sure that Nixle messages went out. We did reverse 911. I specifically had the streets listed on the website so people were better aware, and I don't believe we had as many towing incidents in those subsequent storms as we did the previous. So, unfortunately, as a positive for what happened to you, it did allow us to get the information out a little more aggressively, and other people probably did benefit from that notification.
Thank you.
Secondly, with regard to the relationship with Hackensack, we were waiting for
Can I address some of the
Yes.
concerns? So, a couple things. First off, with regard to your refund, even if you pled not guilty and the judge found you not guilty, you still would not get a refund from the towing company. Okay, that's a lot of misinformation. I was a municipal prosecutor for many years, and a lot of people were convicted of parking and they wanted to fight it to get a refund. As soon as the officer calls the towing company, it stops there. They remove the car. If you're found not guilty, the towing company, who just got called to tow your car, they know nothing else. They perform the service. They're still getting paid for it. So you would be found not guilty of the actual ticket, but you still wouldn't have been able to get the refund. So a lot of people think that, hey, I'm going to be found not guilty. This towing company is going to give me back the money. That's not the case.
I don't understand why that is.
Because towing companies contracted to remove the car. They were called, they removed the car. The borough does not take that responsibility on, that if they're found not guilty, now they're going to reimburse the resident for that charge. It's just how it is. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I think you were under that if I fought this, I'm getting my towing back, and it really wouldn't have been the case. The judge does not have that ability. We're looking at a couple things. Number one, we're looking at the entire ordinance. We're going to make sure we may do some changes to the ordinance, remove some things, take a look at some things so there's no gray area, no misinterpretations. So we're going to take a look at that. With regard to your specific case, in reality, the borough shouldn't get involved if you feel that the towing company overcharged you. You have a direct cause of action against them. You have a civil action. You can file a small claims complaint. You can go after them saying, this is the ordinance. You guys charged me this, this, and this. You shouldn't have charged me this, this, and this because what you performed was not performed, or you overcharged me. There'd be a judge at Bergen County at the small claims court. He would make that decision.
Oh, I was under the impression it would be directed towards the town.
No. It would be a contractual matter between you and the towing company. The borough getting involved, it's a unique situation, and I would caution the mayor and council. Being the borough attorney, sometimes my opinions are not the most favorable to the residents, but I'm up here to look not only at your situation, but other situations that may come. If the borough and council, and they have the purview to say, okay, we're going to refund you the money, although I would caution whether they even have that or not, because they didn't lay any money out for you. Again, they're refunding you money that they didn't take in, you understand? You didn't pay the borough any money. So they don't really have that ability to say, we're going to pay you what they overcharged you. So I would caution them, one, of doing that for that. Two is they would get a slew of just about all the other towing complaints in the future saying, well, you just did it for one resident. Take a look at this. I shouldn't have been charged for $30 winching. I want that money back from you. And they would be setting a precedent. And I would caution them of doing that. I have no problems. And I'll be honest with you, I have not fully reviewed the chief's report yet, okay? So that could fall on me. But I don't have no problem sitting down with the towing company and with the chief and saying, hey, look, you guys need to make this whole. You need to reimburse her this, this, and this. I don't have a problem doing that. I'd be more than happy to do that for you as just as a common courtesy. And with the chief and see if we can get some money back for you. However, they have no right, because they may say, no, we stand by it. So we can do that to solve your problem, hopefully. And again, if they decide not to, you still have that ability to go after them, sue them civilly. The third part of your question is, well, what are we going to do in the future? Okay? If the chief finds, and if I agree with the chief, more as he is the authority when it comes to the towing licenses. So if the chief finds that they violated the ordinance, when they come back up for renewal, I believe it's the end of the year, whenever the renewal is, it may not be the end of the year, maybe mid-year. When they come up for renewal, okay, the chief can flag them, and they would have the right to a hearing. And it would come before the mayor and council, and the chief would say, I'm recommending that they don't get their license, or they don't tow this year in the borough because of this situation, and this is what I found. And then they can have their ability to explain to the mayor and council, and then the mayor and council would have the ability, based on everything, based on the chief's report, what they hear from the towing operator, they decide to renew their license for the future. So that's what would be done, and so the borough just, under due process, can't just, not saying you're wrong, but they have to give the towing company a hearing and hear their side of it. That won't happen until they come up for a renewal. Okay.
And are the residents able to see the report?
I don't have a problem with that. There's no confidential thing. I mean, I'm assuming the chief may redact your name, some other maybe personal information as a privacy and courtesy to you. But as to the report itself, I think you should be entitled to see it.
Also,
I don't have a problem.
but the chief made public comments on this at a previous meeting, so Stephanie can get you the date and the minutes from that meeting also. And you can watch the
I tried
video.
looking on the website and I couldn't
I
find
don't
it.
recall if it was in March or in February when we did
You
that.
want to give us some dates, again, I'd be happy to sit with you, the chief, and the towing company and review it and see if they're willing to reimburse you, but it would have to come from them. It cannot come from the borough, I strongly.
But I think it's clear that there are certain criteria of yours that they did not conform to. That's clear.
There were at least three.
So I think that will, at least in my opinion, weigh heavily when they come up for renewal next year.
Okay, all right, thank you for that.
Okay,
explanation.
so we're gonna look at the ordinance in its entirety,
Okay.
change things around. We're going to, when they come up for renewal, if the situation is not rectified, and the chief does not approve them for a license, they would have a hearing for it. And number three, if we can get together with the chief and call them up and maybe sit down and see what we could do for you.
Does the chief, do you have anything you'd like to add, or?
Okay, all right, okay, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a nice evening.
Two.
Any other member of the public like to speak? Yes, sir. Your name and address for the record, please. Speak into the microphone so the recording can pick you up.
Robert Taylor, 189 Wayne Avenue, River Edge. Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for your time. I'll try to be very brief. We had a snowstorm roughly March 14th, give or take a day. It was a more than 24-hour event. It was significant. DPW did a great job, knocked out of the park, clearing snow like they usually do. However, approximately a week later, around the 21st or 22nd, as the snow began to melt, we noticed that we had obtained some pretty significant damage to our front property line bordering the street and the end of our driveway. Is it all right? I'm taking pictures. Is it all right if I approach? The first picture there is the end of the apron of my driveway, and you can see that the blade of the plow completely came misaligned with the curb, came over top of the curb, and essentially excavated a portion of my front yard, which resulted in the entire curb from length to length of the property being destroyed entirely. The emergency shutoff for the water pipe, about 8 inches of that pipe was taken off, and the port for the outlet of our sump was also destroyed. I went over to Borough Hall and spoke to the call downstairs in the construction office. Currently, I believe the ordinance puts the burden of maintenance on the homeowners or residents for curbs and sidewalks. I saw Nicole. She made a quick phone call right on the spot to DPW, told me to go home, and later that afternoon, Rick, I think his name is, Rick came over from DPW, looked at it, and told me within a week or two they'd put it on the schedule and come fix the front lawn. So, which they did. They threw some dirt down and some grass seed a week or two later. Unfortunately, that week, I think, is the week we received like 4 inches of rain over the span of the week, so the front yard washed away. Yeah, it's continued to wash away because there's no curb, there's nothing to retain any of that there now. I have a large, like, mud pit almost along front of my property. You can see in some of the other photos that because the street we resurfaced, I believe it was like 3 years ago, it wasn't ever milled. It was just like overlay on top. There are parts of the curb on my neighbor's houses that are only an inch or two high. So when a 30 or 40 ton garbage truck comes down the street or a caravan with DPW, there's not much going to hold the blade back from from going up in the yards. Fortunately, I think that we received most of the damage. A lot of the other properties had lawn damage on the street, which was fixed, within a day or two when mine was fixed. But I'd reached out to Councilman Kinigo, who's a personal friend of mine, for some guidance to see where to go. Unfortunately, due to my hectic work schedule and unexpected trip to Florida a few weeks ago, this is the first time I've been able to make it here. I was promised by Rick that there's some type of report was gonna be completed by DPW. I haven't had any contact back from anybody from the town, DPW, or anything, and, it's kind of frustrating. So I know certainly, I had a curb before the storm came and didn't have one the next day. That's where we're at, I guess.
Okay, I will have to follow up with Mr. Lynch and DPW to see what they've done, what they said they were going to do, and I don't know what else.
Well, Mayor, I have to say that it's been our past practice and procedure to not make these repairs. You're certainly welcome to make a claim with our joint insurance fund, and certainly if they issue a reimbursement to you, that's fine with us. They make that decision. But as you stated previously, there is an ordinance that the homeowner maintain
Right,
those.
I've attempted to get several estimates from guys that are right here in town and Oradell, and some less, I guess, reliable people that showed up from Hackensack and beyond. And not one person has been willing to give me an estimate on paper, and each one of them says that the burden is not my responsibility. They've never done a project curb in this town for anybody.
Well, I think that if you went town by town in New Jersey, the vast majority, it's under the homeowner. Anything from the curb in,
All right.
it was in the right of way, so curb, sidewalk, and trees are generally the responsibility of just property. That being said, the DPW has already attempted to rectify this, you're saying. So the
Well,
fact
they
that
rectified the one problem,
so
not
they,
the
well,
destroyed
so
curb.
since they've
Yes.
done that, then I need to follow up with them on what they did with that, because if that needs to be redone because of the rain, then they should make that whole. The curb issues, Alan says, we have to go by whatever the standard practices for the borough.
I understand. The ordinance is very brief. It's only a sentence or two, so I'm curious, what is the maintenance that's expected to be done by the homeowner? What could I have done, in your opinion, to prevent this from happening, to maintain my curb?
It's not necessarily, it's basically any new curb, repair curbs, or sidewalk, or
So
anything
it's
right away,
okay,
is
in
the
your opinion, for the
responsibility.
town to destroy the curb and me pay for it?
No, Mr. Negrin told you there's a mechanism to address that, but anytime we would go where somebody makes a claim, we have to verify that it was the borough, and then if we did this for every claim, we just wouldn't be able to control it. So there has to be a process in place.
I understand. That's all.
If the council wants to make any comments, they can.
I mean, can we at least provide Mr. Taylor with the information and, forms for the JIF? Yeah, to make the claim.
Is it tort claim
Huh?
downstairs, pick it up from the borough clerk? Is that?
Or it's what-
Yes, the tort claim through the borough clerk's office.
Okay, so you-
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like your photos back, or you want them?
You can leave it for the record. Thank you.
Anybody else like to make any comment, have any questions? Seeing none, could I have a motion to close the public, please? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Council comments, Councilman Canigo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have my monthly library meeting tomorrow, in actuality, so I kind of reported on the library and actually the historic commission last time around, but I would like to say that the library just held a poetry competition, which was very successful. They have the high tea coming up. There's one on May 20th, and the second one is in June. I gave the dates last time, and they're part of the record. We attended over the past couple of weeks, all of us, the Little League and Regal opening ceremonies. They were great. We were very fortunate to have a fantastic day for it. Also, I was very happy to have handed out water at the River Edge Run. Hopefully next year I actually run it instead of just handing out water, but I was there and cheering on all our residents, and that was a great day as well. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Davis.
Farmers Market will be starting on June 6th and last until mid-October from 2 to 7. The majority of last year's vendors are returning, and we're working on getting a few new ones. The Board of Health meeting did not take place. They did not have a quorum. So the next meeting will be on June 26th. I also attended with some of my colleagues here, the River Edge run/health walk, and we did walk it. And it was fun to be out there with everybody. And I'd also like to comment on the Little League field being named, the Pete Cameron Field. As Pete's neighbor, I can attest to the fact of his love for the sport and his passion for all of the kids that he worked with. He was a very kind, warm, sincere person, and as a coach, he inspired so many of the kids, so I think it was truly a fitting tribute to name the field after him. He will be missed.
Councilman Fred.
Briefly, I did not attend the River Edge Run.
We missed you, but because you
I
were
was in Costa
the
Rica.
country.
Somebody had to be there. But if I'm around next year, I'll be the one handing out the water with limoncello shots in it. On a more serious note, Councilman Papaleo made me aware that this Wednesday there is a Board of Education meeting at River Edge, where the overcrowding issue of the schools will be discussed. I would ask if any of my fellow council persons, as well as you, Mayor Leone, if you can, just to go there instead of me. I will not be in the country. And just let's see what is
The
it.
board did send me invitation and extended it to the entire council, so.
Okay, good. It's a process that started at least 2 years ago. I think all the various what-if cases have been eliminated one by one, including attendance of school of non-residents by non-residents. That was done 2 years ago. And I think we should be involved from day one and not simply sit back and wait for the Board of Education to show up with completed plans for another school edition. I mean, it's clear to me that that's where the intent is to go. And I'm sorry if I have to be the one to give the bad news up front. But eventually, I don't see any other resolution. So at any rate, please, if attend the Board of Ed meeting. That is it, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, Councilman.
I forgot something, I'm sorry. The Farmers Market Committee asked for permission to put a banner down the south end of town where the River Edge Run was, and
Starting one, did it have,
we didn't get it made yet. I wanted permission first.
someone make a motion to approve?
On the fence that they have a,
So, would somebody please make a motion to
So moved.
approve the banner?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
thank you.
Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry I was a little late tonight. Coaching softball, so I just came from the field to here. Game's probably over by now, so I can't make it back. But just as everybody else said, Regal opening day was fantastic. I don't know, I love being there. Coaching 2 teams, so hopefully I enjoy it. The River Edge Run was great. The health walk. It is a personal goal to try and run next year. I wanted to do it this year, but I pulled my back, and that kind of killed that.
It's always something.
I know. And Little League was great, the opening day, and just the Cameron family and the dedication of the field was fantastic. And I have traffic and safety on Wednesday, so I'll have something to report about that later on at our next meeting.
Councilman Steve.
Thank you.
We all attended the inaugural lighting of the lights at QDG the last time we were all together for a meeting, and so I just want to recognize that that happened, and I'm getting really good feedback. I don't know about anybody else, but I want to thank Bobby Conway and the Rec Commission and the Mayor and Council again for concluding with that project. An update on the AEDs. The Rec Commission hosted a in-person training with cardiac science. 150 of our volunteer coaches attended in person, which is about 50% of all of our volunteer coaches. So now they're collecting online training certificates. I know they're on order, the AEDs. Hopeful they'll be in place shortly. The Rec Commission also reported that all of the picnic tables at Memorial Park were power washed and cleaned, and it's a marked improvement, so that's very good. The Environmental Commission, we had a meeting. Of note is they approved to add 2 student representatives to the commission, non-voting members. They've already reached out to the principal of Riverdale High School, and they expect to have 2 potential sophomores, rising juniors, at their June meeting. Their hope is that by engaging the schools, they can bring some newer programming to the Environmental Commission, things such as getting some grants from BCUA and other things. We talked with some folks from Tenafly that have done this and have been very successful, so I applaud them for taking that step. The Hackensack River cleanup is going to be May 13th from 10 to 2, so get your boots on and come on out. And Councilman Bartoloni will not create a wake in the river, I promise. And try to tip you because very kind. I just want to make note, Mayor Mignon mentioned it, but I want to applaud the efforts of this council to bring the Employee Assistance Program through shared service with Bergen County to our employees. Any opportunity that we have to help our employees is a good one, and I want to applaud the council for doing this. I also want to just make sure that everybody saw that the Stigma-Free Initiative is having a program on Tuesday, May 16th, How Mental Illness Affects Individuals, Families, and the Community. Michael Tizzoli, from the CEO of West Bergen Mental Health Care, will be there. He's spoken many times around the county, and he does a wonderful presentation. So May 16th, 7:30 at the library. Please try to come. And I will not be able to attend the Board of Ed meeting on Wednesday evening. I'll just let you all know that now. But I look forward to hearing the results from the architect as well. Thank you.
I want to thank the council. I think we approved 2 important ordinances this evening that I think will benefit the quality of life for our residents. The abandoned property ordinance is something that has been a stickler, maybe not somebody's #1 item, but enough where it's caused a lot of anxiety and discomfort for some residents, and I think that'll help that. I think our new land use board is going to lead to better planning for the borough and also be more efficient for our residents, so I think that's also a very positive development for the borough, in addition to entering into the agreement with the county for the EAP. Again, these are all positive developments. I'll just reiterate again, we all had a lot of events this year. The lighting was good to see that project was finally finished. The River Edge Run, again, Bobby and the commissioners always do a great job. And yes, I enjoy doing the walk. I don't think I'll ever commit to run, but you never know. Regal, it's great to see the strength of the program, how it grows every year. Arbor Day, I believe Councilman Barone was able to attend. I was out of town. I was not able to attend any Arbor Day events, but Councilman Barone did attend the event at Roosevelt, I understand. And thanks to the Stewart and the Shade Tree Commissioners for doing all the good things they do to protect and enhance the aesthetics of River Edge. Really opening day, it's always that first sure sign that spring is finally here. It was a moving ceremony, and I didn't know Mr. Cameron personally, but you can tell how well loved and respected he was. And you knew you make a great decision because you could just feel how everybody was just so much in support of it. And also, thanks to Mr. Berenger, who also had thanked the Mayor and Council for the AEDs also as that initiative. At the invitation of Matt Haggerty, who's doing his Eagle Scout project, I stopped down by the tree farm they were working over the weekend, They did a fantastic job in cleaning it out. They were bouncing ideas, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but to make that project sustainable, the best thing to do is try to get the Shade Tree Commission to actually put shade trees in there. So it's something that these ornamental trees that we have are not really the way to go. So I think that's a dialogue that will continue, and I'm sure there'll be further discussion on that. And then also on Saturday, I happened to stop by the Green Team Environmental Commission were leading a used toy drive. And it was led by our Green Team Chair, Bonnie Stewart, Environmental Commission Chair, Laura Hoekstreet, and our former Chairman, Greg Ogden. They collected 1,040 toys, all sizes and shapes. There were, you know, from the mini slides to playhouses to sandboxes to little plastic trucks. And also special thanks to Riverdale Senior Mariah Miller, who I believe is the granddaughter of Shelley Dansky, who helped out all day, and she was keeping tallies, running around as people were dropping off different amounts of toys. We filled 2 truckloads of toys. It was amazing. Some are going to different churches or other nonprofits, all in great condition. And again, thanks to Bonnie, Greg, Laura, and Mariah because they're the only ones really manning the event until I stopped by, and it was a great job. I'm not going to embarrass him, but I'm welcoming Max tonight from Troop 184, who's, which badge are you here for? You're just...
I'm here for shooting for Star Scout.
Very good.
And all about it.
And Remind Council, you've been invited to our Troop 184 Eagle Court of Honor on Sunday, May 22nd. We have 2 young men being honored this year as Eagle Scout, and I believe Troop 2295 will be having 6 in July. So the scouting program in River Edge is alive and strong, and between the 2 troops, there are well over 110, 115 Eagle Scouts in the past 60 years. It's probably something that's not matched in the state. So I guess that's all I have. So without anything else, just maybe not related to council business, but River Edge is fortunate this evening that His Eminence Cardinal Tobin is saying Mass at St. Peter's Church, and he will be having a meet and greet. What time, Mary?
They call it a town meeting.
Town
I'm
meeting.
assuming at 8:30.
At 8:30. So if anyone is interested, looks like our meeting will be over. His Eminence is in River Edge, so we're pleased to have him here this evening. With no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Well, no, I give to the council, you have before you a proposal from our consultant for IT. His recommendation, it would be to the borough's best interest to have our own hosting for email. His proposal is attached. We got it too late for consideration this evening, but I'm hoping that we can review in advance of the next work session and hopefully take formal action so we can get that moving. And hopefully we'll have a further proposal to finish up the cameras and other things so we can get the TV end of this moving as well. So again, motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.